I am going to start posting my approach logs this week so you can follow along if you are curious about what I am actually doing out there. I also have a few more sessions planned coming up, and there is even a date lined up from Cold Approach that I will share the details about later. If that sounds interesting, then you can like the video, leave a comment, or subscribe so you do not miss it when it comes out. I went out today around 7 in the evening and walked for about 45 minutes before heading home. During that time, I made 6 approaches and got 1 contact at the end. The walk ended up being about 6,000 steps, so I had plenty of space between approaches to settle myself down and reset my energy. The first approach was a girl eating pizza with chopsticks, and she rejected me instantly. That rejection barely registered, because the chopsticks detail stood out more than anything else. When you approach regularly, you start to notice how the funny little quirks of people often leave a stronger impression than the rejection itself. The second approach was a girl wearing pants I said looked like Chicago fashion. I made the comment directly, told her I liked them, and she just said thanks and walked away. That was another clean rejection, but it still counted because I opened and I stood in it. The third approach was the highlight of the session. It was a girl with nice hair who stopped and had a chill conversation with me. She was relaxed, laughed at a few things I said, and when I asked for her Instagram, she gave it without hesitation. That was 1 contact out of 6 tries, and it was enough to make the whole walk worthwhile. The other 3 approaches went nowhere and ended quickly. None of them developed into longer conversations, and I did not get contact information from them. Still, each one was practice, and each one was proof that I took action instead of staying in my head. Through the entire session, I paid attention to grounding. I have noticed before that I hold a lot of tension in my head and neck, which makes my voice tight. Tonight, I worked on shifting that energy down into my lower body. When I focused on being grounded, my voice came out calmer and stronger. Here are 5 grounding practices that made a difference. First, I imagined energy flowing down my legs with every step, so I felt heavier in a good way. Second, I breathed into my stomach instead of letting shallow chest breathing take over. Third, I kept my jaw and tongue relaxed so my voice was freer. Fourth, I shifted a little weight into my heels so I felt more stable. Fifth, I widened my vision so I was not stuck in narrow tunnel focus. These adjustments might sound esoteric, but they gave me presence and resilience. Each rejection still landed, but it did not shake me in the same way. I was less stuck in my head and more relaxed in my body. The one conversation that went well flowed better because my voice was deeper and calmer. I remind myself that rejections are not failures, they are repetitions. The more rejections I collect, the more comfortable I get with the entire process. Søren Kierkegaard once wrote that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Approaching feels exactly like that, because the meaning comes later, while the action must happen now. By the end of the walk, I was tired, but light. 6 approaches, 1 Instagram, and a lot of practice keeping my body grounded. The outcome was not perfect, but progress never looks perfect in numbers. Progress shows up as steadiness, resilience, and willingness to take the next step. If you want to chat about approaching or rejections or anything around this practice, you can check the link in my bio. I have been approaching for 6 years now, and I have a ton of crazy stories, but also countless rejections along the way. Our group chat is very bare bones, but it is focused on logging approaches, sharing tips to stay consistent, and connecting with other like-minded guys who are working on Cold Approach. That is it for today. 6 approaches, 1 Instagram, some grounding practice, and another piece of experience logged.